Hello guys, let's start. My name is Lisa. I'm an occupational therapist. I'm specialized in Padovan therapy and master degree in autism spectrum disorder. And as usual, every Wednesday I connect here in YouTube to talk a little bit about different topics, right? As an occupational therapist, I work with children with special needs. So my expertise and my experience always goes around the children, where obviously as an occupational therapist we work with different ages and any type of difficulties, but my own personal let's say experience, professional experience, goes always around kids. This YouTube channel, it's I try to always post different videos and try to talk about different topics. And today it's going to be, at least for the beginning, unless if you have any other questions or you would like me to focus on something else, it will be about walking before crawling. Now, this type of how to say, titles are very interesting, and the reason why is because lately, as an occupational therapist, I observed a lot that we are having some changes in the development, in the sense of I am noticing more and more kids who are skipping certain milestones, and many kids who are developing a little bit differently, in different phases, no. Like I said, as an occupational therapist, and you as a parent or educators or future occupational therapist to be, you need to have very present the milestones. The milestones are there for us to help, to be like, to guide us, to recognize what should be there, what shouldn't be there, etc., etc. But not always it's easy to follow the milestones, because, like I'm saying, we work with children who already have difficulties, whether it's a difficulty that appears at 2 years old, 5 years old, or from the birth. We are having a challenge, so we know that the nerve system is already challenged. Now, how is this nerve system affecting the walking, crawling, rolling, dragging, or whatever milestone, even talking, no? And like I was saying at the beginning, lately I'm noticing more and more kids who are kind of struggling a little bit with these milestones. We work with children of different ages with different needs. So the crawling and the walking, like what comes first or at what age should be, not always affects because the child has autism, or because the child has cerebral palsy, or because the child has something else. It doesn't really, I will say that, unless if we talk about Down syndrome, that I noticed that obviously we have that late walking. I will not say that because of autism, or because of sensory processing disorder, or because of ADHD, the child start to walk later. I think it's in general, that there is a little bit of a changement in the development. Lately, more and more kids are hello. Lately, more and more kids are developing different skills. They stay on the floor for a longer period of time, and the experience of really walking doesn't come so natural, because as they move through crawling and sometimes rolling and sometimes like dragging, they don't really want to develop differently. No, I'm not. And then you have the opposite. You have kids who discover the walking straight away and they skip certain milestones, right? So then I have parents questioning, and they will come and they will say, maybe it's the reason why my child has difficulties in this area is because the child skipped crawling. Is this okay? Is not, etc. So today we're going to be a little bit covering this area, okay? We're going to be talking a little bit about crawling, walking, what should be, what shouldn't be, and if that's okay or not okay. Now, there is no, I want to start straight away, there is no something that should be there or shouldn't. Obviously, we have the milestones for a reason, but it's not meaning that the child doesn't go through a milestone. It means that something is wrong. However, I always suggest that, especially depends on the age of your kid, try to focus on pushing the child, giving the experience to the child to to experiment, different milestones. That's mean that you have to understand that before the child start to walk, the child needs to feel comfortable on his back and on the tummy. The child needs to hold the neck properly, so good control of the head. The child needs to roll. The child needs to drag, so basically the child will be on the tummy and pushing himself. The child needs to crawl, then the child needs to bear walk, and then we sit down, stand up, and we start to walk. So kind of this is a little bit the development that we should be doing. Now, when the child is not respecting all of these milestones and we just jump and, we skip things, that's not meaning that we are late to still work on them. I have kids of 7 years old and we still practice bear walking and crawling, because those milestones are created for a reason. Our nervous system has this little setup that I just mentioned to work on coordination, to work on building up our gross motor skills and fine motor skills that we will need in the future for talking, walking, jumping, writing, etc. So it's never late. Even if your child say, listen, he is 2 years old, what's the point? Well, the point is that crawling, it should be a natural activity that you should be, if the child skipped, especially if the child skipped crawling, we should clean it up. So if you have an occupational therapist or a physiotherapist or whatever, or even at home, I highly suggest you to work on it. Because like I'm telling you, it's the base of our coordination. Sometimes when the child skips certain milestones, we continue working, we continue growing up. And we will have difficulties, for example, in handwriting, or we will have difficulties in riding a bike, or hopscotch, or other let's say, skills, and we will not know what is the reason that the child is not capable to do that. So first of all, tell me what is walking, define it. What is the difference between crawling and walking? Good. Okay. Well, no, not really. It's first walking, okay, then speaking, and then writing, kind of. So yes, this, I am an occupational therapist, so obviously my YouTube channel and any of the topics that I'm going to talk about is going to be always for children with special needs and children in general, which sometimes the topics obviously can be applied for any kid, doesn't have the need to have a difficulty, okay? So I'm going to be always focusing on this topic, and yeah, but you feel free to ask me any question if you would like me to develop something else, or you would like me to focus on another topic, okay? But today I chose this one. Like I was saying before, there are certain milestones that we need to be respecting, and it's very good that during the therapy process, if we have an occupational therapist or any therapist who are guiding you exactly which milestone we reached or which not, we work on those that we didn't reach. Nowadays there are plenty of activities that can help the coordination. But what happened when the child skips crawling, right? So imagine we have this scenario of the child who didn't crawl. He started to walk straight away. But he started to walk not steady. So the child is kind of walking, but not really, because he is still holding onto the wall, the table, etc., etc. And then it takes him longer, which is also another thing that I noticed. So the child shows the interest of standing earlier, but from the moment that he shows interest till the moment that he actually walks by himself or herself, it takes a really longer period of time. You have to understand that at the age of 6, the child should be seated by himself, 6 months old. But the age of 9, we should be crawling, and 1 and 2 months old, we should be walking. So 1 year and 2 months walking. Nowadays, really few kids are following this milestone. I don't know if it's because of the environment. I don't know if it's because, of the educational system, our busy lives, whatever. I don't know. But we have more and more kids that start to walk at 1.5, 1.8, which is late in development. But then you have kids who catch up, and then by the age of 2, they continue reaching all the milestones. So you say, okay, no problem. And then it's when, at the age of 3, 4, it's when we start noticing other difficulties, because the child starts going to school, the child starts writing, the child starts, doing other cognitive activities that are unfortunately not settled, because the coordination system didn't settle properly somehow, or because something else is not working. Obviously, it's not the same example for every child, so I don't want you to freak out and say, oh my goodness, my kid didn't do that. That's mean that he will have difficulties at 4 years old. I'm just saying that sometimes children will not follow the milestones. The child will then catch up or not, and then the child will actually show difficulties later on. And obviously I'm always talking based on my experience, which I have more than over 10 years of experience working with kids, and my day-to-day it's to work with children. And like I said, what is happening in case if the child skips the crawling? That's fine. What you should do, you should work on crawling. Yes, definitely. Even if the kid is showing positive interest in walking, and he starts to walk, and he is enjoying running, and he is enjoying, skipping or hopping or whatever, we still should be taking care of the crawling. Okay, not on a daily basis, but definitely do maybe some games. We do them a lot in therapy, but maybe we can do some like 5 minutes game, 1 minute game per day, being on the floor, just go reach for a toy, throw the ball, go for the ball, whatever. The idea is to continue stimulating these activities. Okay, this is super good. Obviously, yes, thank you very much. Yes, thank you. You can save these videos. Obviously, I appreciate your likes, subscribed, and supporting my social media on Instagram, our clinic as well, my clinic, Panacea Therapy Center. So if you can have and follow us on Instagram or Facebook and give a like, I much appreciate it. And obviously this YouTube channel, all the videos that I'm doing, they are saved on the YouTube channel. And how to say, you can always rewatch them. Feel free to share with the parents, educators, whoever would like to watch this video. Thank you very much. So yes, I have my own clinic. It's my own practice. Yes. So like I was telling, the same happens for the crawling. And let's say the child start to crawl and continue crawling for very long period of time and doesn't feel like to stand up. It's normal. They are comfortable. And sometimes children who has difficulties in gross motor skills, they will take longer time to stand up and to walk, because somehow that area, maybe the hips, maybe the legs, maybe the tonicity. Sometimes you have a lot of kids with hypotonia, meaning low tone, or the opposite, hypertonia, increase of tone, extra increase of tone, that makes it a little bit more difficult for the child to actually feel comfortable to stand up and to walk. So like I'm saying, the coordination difficulties, to know if your child has coordination difficulties or will have in the future, you can see them through crawling before crawling through rolling, to see how he rolls, to see how he's playing with both hands, to see if all the reflexes are settled, and to see how he crawls. Most of the time, if the child has all of these ready and he is not experiencing any difficulty, it's a good positive indicator, that the system it's actually flowing and it's building up really good. But that does not mean that we might still have difficulties later on. Okay, normally by the age of 2, if the child is developing really well and all the coordination system is settled, and socially, communication wise, everything, it's okay, we shouldn't be worried. I think the main signs of difficulties appear before 2 or maximum 2 to 3 years old. After 3, to be honest, I never had any kid that the parent will be like for 3 or 4 years old, super satisfied and not noticing anything, and then suddenly boom, the child has, I don't know what. So there is going to be always something that called irritation. However, it's true that for some parents it's difficult to see it. So unless if your school will notice, or maybe your, someone that has a better knowledge perhaps on the development, sometimes a little bit difficult to understand if the child is having difficulties or not. But I encourage highly to make sure that you participate your kid in the most physical activity possible. It doesn't have to be therapy. I'm talking about any playground, home, with a ball, with a slide, with a swing. If you have the chance to have a swing at home, perfect. If you don't have a chance to have a swing at home and you have anything else, that's okay as well. It's important to have as much as possible activities outside of that routine of game, playing, or tabletop activities, especially if your kid is going to school. Because nowadays the system, especially the educational system, goes very much into we have to write as soon as possible, we have to sit, we have to stay for a very long time seated, we have to have a good attention, we have to have a good sitting tolerance, etc. And unfortunately, we have to understand that our body has an age and has certain needs. We have certain needs that need to be satisfied. Obviously, more we oppress them, more we close them, and more we say, no, listen, you want to run, but we don't have time for that. You have to sit and you have to work. Obviously, this will make our nerve system a little bit more frustrating. We will lose motivation. We will have less interest to do stuff, etc., etc. So, if you ask me, is there any difficulty that I should be worried that my child skipped some of the milestones, I will say no, unless if you know that besides skipping some milestones, we are having difficulties already, repercussions in the speech, which is also another big topic, and we could be talking about it in another moment, because nowadays even the speech development, it comes a little bit delayed. Like usually, if by the age of 2, we should have 50 words easily, and like 2-word kind of sentences. Nowadays it's like, if you have a kid just mentioning 1 word per item, and we have few words as a vocabulary, that is like something crazy. So somehow the education, or not the education, but I will say the development in general, is a little bit changing, or at least those are my observations. Obviously, if you are noticing delay in speech, that's like a good combination, a good and a bad combination between gross development, if you had already skipping milestones, and repercussions in the speech. Definitely speak with a speech therapist, occupational therapist, your pediatrician, whoever, to see if there is anything, maybe an early intervention teacher as well, to see if there is anything else that we could start to boost that system. Earlier you work with your kid, the better, because we have to understand that the nerve system has that time, like I was telling before, we have that time that we need to develop different skills. More we take time to develop different things, more in the future we will have that the skills that didn't develop, they will be, dragging with us. It's not meaning, for example, like I was telling you with crawling and walking, it's not meaning that the child skips crawling and start to walk, it's something bad. But somehow the nervous system opted for that option. So if we have a stipulated milestone development, we don't have to respect it as such how it is, but it is important, it's very, very interesting to pass through all the milestones. If the nervous system decides to work differently because of the environment, because of the of whatever, the way how we are educated, or our opportunities, also to develop the milestones, somehow also it gives you a lot of information to check if this has any repercussion for the future. So if you are a mama, papa, or an educator, we are talking about maximum 2 years old, definitely check this out. Let your kid explore as much as possible. Make a little bit, some games, some stuff a little bit more complicated at home. So there is that initiative to crawl, initiative to walk, initiative not to roll even, whatever at the same time, which is fantastic for your kid and your nervous system. Okay, so that's a little bit about today. I don't have questions for me. So last week it was really interesting. Today I think everybody is back to school, everybody is busy and I don't know what. So I am going to stop here. Definitely I am looking forward to hear from you, and if you have questions, don't hesitate to write me. I always, like I said, I'm super thankful and appreciate your following and subscribing, and also your communication. So if you have any questions you would like me to focus, if you have any, doubts or whatever, just write me, okay? Every Wednesday I connect around 7:30 p.m. Europe time, and we talk about different topics. Okay, today it was a little bit about walking, crawling, milestones in general, and a little bit of my occupational therapy perspective. Perspective slash professional experience regarding these topics. Okay, so if you are interested to know a little bit more, and I prepare different topics, you can go in my YouTube channel. There are a couple of videos already done and a couple of lives that are already there, so you can always watch them and listen and replay and share and like and subscribe and ask me questions. Okay, thank you very much for watching, for those who stayed with me. Thank you very much for following, and I will see you next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. In the meantime, I wish you good night. Bye-bye.